Welcome to the GracePoint Publishing Podcast. Come along with us as we get an exclusive look into what really happens as we co-collaborate with our authors to craft and publish their books. Please see the show notes to find more ways to connect with our creators. And now, here's your host, best-selling author and founder of the Scribes of Light Press with GracePoint Publishing, Danielle Rama Hoffman.
Welcome to this podcast on the return to Radiance, the restorative superpowers of Diamond Grace with Scribes of Light author Terri Gervais. Welcome, Terri. I'm so overjoyed to be co-creating with you in this now moment.
Thank you. Thanks, Danielle. And thank you, Mark, for having this podcast for us. I appreciate being able to talk about this the first time. I'm very excited. I can feel the team in the background, so I'd love to see what comes through.
Yeah, thank you. And welcome to each of you that are tuning in here. We're really going to be diving into Terri's book, which has such a powerful and potent message and energy. And I wanted to kick us off in a unique way because part of the Scribes of Light Press as a part of GracePoint Publishing and what we're up to is also really an energetic transmission. And so, Terri, if you're open to it, I feel like reading a little bit of the opening from your book about kind of entering into the temple of the book would be a great way to start our podcast out here. How's that sound?
That sounds perfect. Yeah, so chapter 1 is Let the Journey Begin, and I'll just read a small little transmission about that. You are invited to enter into Diamond Grace, like entering through a temple door, a sacred space. It is also like entering into a session that you might have with a practitioner, where you are entering with an open heart, knowing that you are always guiding the process. You're choosing what to take from this journey. As you're reading, taking the words in through your eyes and your optic nerve and your pineal gland located within the physical brain, you're holding the book in your hands. You may even place it on your heart at some point. Know that there is this energy package that is bespoke to you to support you in your resurrection of grace. Like osmosis, where the cells cross information from one another, there is a transmission of energy. It is a transmission of knowledge from many ascended masters who've walked this path and are supporting this work. This book has descended from the higher dimensional planes above the Earth star, where it is written in light language and love language. It is written in frequencies, vibrations, and sound. As it is being birthed into the third dimension through the hands, voice, eyes, along with the frequencies and vibrations emanating from the scribe, everything was preserved and divinely infused energetically and physically into the pages of this book. If there are concepts, ideas, information that you have never heard before, or that you have been taught to be false, we invite you to consider that perhaps those before you weren't ready for this information. When you open the book, you're walking between the dimensions, and in doing so will change. You are immersing yourself in this source light and love language.
So as you're taking your seat at this podcast, I really invite you to imagine that this podcast, and if you choose to get the book, The Return to Radiance, which I highly recommend, that you're walking into a temple, that you're taking your seat on a council, that this podcast has been like a call that you've heard and you've answered the call, and that you have a seat here, that even though it's myself and Terri and Diamond Grace and our guides that are speaking, you also are communicating with us. And what we speak about is directly in relationship to your presence and your contribution and your desire to be a part of this larger movement of the return to radiance on the Earth star. And so, Terri and Diamond Grace, I really love this opening because it already lets us know and gives the reader an awareness of like, there's something else going on here in this book. Like, it's not that there's a just, but it's a different experience than we may have if we're reading a summer novel by the pool. that there's really an energy transmission. And it's one of the things that I just find you're so adept at. Like, you transmit such a high frequency and vibration and experience and embody grace. And I just love the work. So is there anything else that you would say about kind of that entering into the temple space and the heads up, right? That this book, it's a transformational journey.
Yeah, it's a heads up in that there's concepts that you've probably never been introduced before. And then just to kind of relax into that space of just knowing that this book will touch you somewhere, some way, somehow. And the feedback I've been getting is, I read it in 3 hours. It was amazing. And then I've heard, I want to spend 3 years with it, just reading one page at a time. So it's really bespoke for you and what you want to garner from the words, the frequencies, and just maybe information you've never heard of before. It's really your own journey experience.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, and the return to radiance and diamond grace, there's so much energy and qualitative consciousness in the word radiance, in the word grace, and the hinting at that this body of work, this book, is a part of a larger movement on the Earth Star, a larger evolution in consciousness. And again, that as you've taken your seat at this podcast and perhaps in the book, know that you also have answered this divine appointment to be in some ways accessing the restorative superpowers of diamond grace, to be bringing radiance into your life. And I love how many topics as well that are gone into in the book, where there's one of my favorite topics as well in terms of return to radiance, of youthing and greater vitality and physical health. There's also like your superpowers, your mission, your purpose, abundance. It's really multidimensional in radiance in all areas of our life. So is there anything that you would expand on, especially with the word radiance or the word grace, to just kind of bring those two components into our temple space a little bit more here today?
Yeah, radiance, just as I've embodied that word or that frequency, I can really feel it's coming from a higher power, a higher source, and it's your higher source. And just allowing that light to come into your physical body and just radiate from within. It's not a light source like a light bulb anymore. It's the light. You are the light bulb. You're really plugged in to all that. You really have the capability of absorbing your whole multidimensional self. And the grace aspect of the radiance is dropping this third dimensional concept of grace. And grace allows all individuals to be, live, do, and have the experience that they wish. Where all is perfect, all experiences have a purpose. There is no judgment. Grace does not force itself upon anything. Grace forgives, for it is giving forward of itself and allows compassion to the darkest corners of our universe and understands its purpose. Often, it is an act of compassion that raises the frequency of an individual who may be in the darkest despair and bring their own internal heart's desire to illuminate. The frequency of grace radiating over the Earth Star can fan this tiny flame. There's no expectation, however, it just gives. And the team wants to say that we're now infusing those words with the frequency and energy of divine love, love without expectations or limits.
Beautiful. So as we're speaking about grace and we're speaking about radiance, there's a recognition of like this word return. I keep being drawn to like the return to radiance, and that this energy and this topic is so relevant for everyone that's drawn. Like I know that is usually something I don't say, like this book is for everyone, right? Because it's really, in relationship to those that have a divine appointment. And yet this question of radiance is up for everyone in some way or another, whether that's feeling depleted and not having enough energy to get through the day, or whether that's, like feeling the aging and wanting to reverse aging, which this body of work also really helps with, or just on so many levels. So I would love for you to share about the power of I am and the power of our spoken word and I know you can read about this, read from the book about this, to also really just bring some right relationship, because sometimes we can be so unconscious about what we say or how we say things. I think this is a really important message to share. So would you read about the I am?
I would love to. And this is very Metatron energy about, in the beginning, the word was God, and God spoke the world into an existence. And it's really trying to bring that into your own world. And so this little section in the book was scribed from that aspect of really being mindful of what you're saying, and that you have this huge creative power, this force with your voice. And so your breath is a gift of the Divine Mother. You're breathing her love into your heart, into your lungs. She is giving you the gift of life. Your voice is where you bring all that you desire and require into your physical experience. You must be mindful of what you speak out loud. When you speak, there are vibrations and frequencies that emanate. These are attractors. Whatever you desire and require shall come into your life. Be very, very aware of those words beginning with I am. This is the most powerful thing to say, for I am is the way of God. I am is you. You are the divine spark of God. You are an I am being. When you say I am, followed by a lower vibrational word such as poor, ugly, or not worthy, you're creating that in your life. That is what you're reflecting. Your body's reflecting what you are saying. Your external experience is reflecting what you are saying. Instead, be inspired to speak what you want to have, be, and do, such as, I am a beautiful, radiant being having a wonderful, amazing experience. I am a loving mother, father, child, spouse, or whatever. I am a generous and compassionate person. I am wealthy with abundance in all areas of my life. What you speak sets in motion what will occur. The more light you have in your physical body, the faster the response. Your ears are also points of access to this diamond grace portal or grid. Your ears are also vortexes. Be mindful of what you listen to as you are bringing that into your being. These words, sounds, frequencies, and vibrations are affecting your emotional state, and emotions affect the physical body. Your eyes are vortexes. What enters your optic nerve is affecting your mental body, which can affect your emotions, which then affect the physical body. All is one. Be discerning of what you allow within these access points, for all of it is affecting your inner landscape.
So beautiful. Thank you. I love as well the spoken word, the I am statements, and then also what you're listening to, what you're looking at. And just really also want to celebrate you for choosing to listen to this high vibrational podcast, to be a part of this GracePoint community, and to consciously be choosing to engage with that which is uplifting, that which is calling forth even more restoration, more regeneration, more of what it is that you require and desire. And so what was coming up for me as you were reading was like, I remember when the law of attraction came out, and I really noticed, like, I would talk to somebody and they would never say anything negative. They might be like, really exhausted and like their whole life was blowing up, and they would just be like, well, I'm so grateful and appreciative, and like really speaking the talk, and yet the vibration was exuding something else. So I think it's important that we as is things, and yet we don't give them a lot of energy, that just like you shared, it's really important when we listen to what we think about, what we say, what we hear. And yet there was also that part in what you read of like, it's not instantaneous. It also depends on how fast your vibration's going. So what would you share as a tool? And it may be, talking about internal joy and how you can change your perception when somebody notices they might be like, I am generous. And yet on the inside, they're going like, oh, I am poor, as those were the examples in the book, to shift the perception so that the internal broadcast is matching the words more.
Yeah, that takes a lot of intention and focus, and really putting that at the top of the list to really recognize when you are out of alignment with joy or out of alignment with your creation statements. And when you recognize it, you use the tools that are out there. And this book obviously is one. Danielle's books are incredible for clearing that internal space, which was where my beginning foundation came from. Really sit back and notice when you say something, if it really feels true all the way through your physical body. Does it feel like you're calm? Does it feel like you're angry? Whatever that is, just use that as your internal compass and stick to your intentions and continue with the body of work that resonates for you in that now moment. And it could be yoga, meditation, just simply observing how other people react to what you say is a big compass to let you know if you're really heading in the right direction.
And would you say a little bit more about that? Because sometimes, we might be really resonant and that can bring up something for somebody else. Yeah. So I just feel like if you clarify that a little bit more, it might be helpful.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just excluding yourself from what others think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think just trying to garner more joy in your life is definitely a key to this. And I know it helped me a lot. And the advice from the team and in the book, it says internal joy changes your perception of outer experiences. And divine joy, extraordinary joy, is when your emotional body is radiating love from within. It is different from human joy, where on a hot summer day, ice cream can bring you joy, or when someone gives you a gift that can bring you joy. Those are external actions or activity that are temporarily based on your emotional body at the time. Divine internal joy is when your emotional body has absorbed the light and the love from your highest expression and is source filled with love and light. There comes a joy of knowing that you are source, that you are a divine being having a human experience. There is joy of reconnecting to your truth and to your higher purpose and understanding the reason for your embodiment on the Earth Star. This internal joy changes the perspective of your outer experiences on the Earth Star. As you are internally joy-filled, you outwardly see and express joy to others, and you find that your normal activities bring you outward joy as well. When you are in divine alignment with your high expression of yourself, with your divine purpose, and living a joy-filled life, this is bliss. It is absent of mundane emotions, lack, and lethargy. It is an inner drive to just be. It's an inner drive to engage with others, to express whatever your gifts and talents are, and this perpetuates more joy.
Yeah. That message is so multidimensional, and it's kind of pausing to let the ripples, the vibrations to go out, because there really is that shift in perception that we can have the same experience. Let's say we're driving somewhere and we're running quote unquote late, and there can be an internal experience of stress or kind of slower vibrations of not wanting to upset whoever is going to be met. And then there can be like a running late to an appointment, driving in the car and having the radio on and singing or listening to a podcast or having really this amazing experience of internal joy. So this perception is so key. And I know that everyone has had an experience, like the same exact experience, yet how you perceive it can be so vastly different, which really returns to the opening that you shared about the osmosis and how more grace begets more grace and more radiance begets more radiance. And it just exponentiates out from there. So, one of the things that the team often talks about and what we focus on as well with the Scribes of Light, the Scribes books, are like using your body of work to create your body of work, or how the process of creating a podcast or creating a book or creating a program or a meal or whatever it is for someone really is an expansive experience. So I'd love to segue a little bit into your experience with birthing this body of work and the book, and how you feel like you also transformed or evolved in the process, and what it's like to hold it in your hands and to have other people be sharing their feedback. So exciting.
Oh gosh, it really is so exciting. And when I first started this journey of scribing, I was petrified. I just wasn't a skilled writer. It was difficult to just simply write an email. But then I started this amazing journey with you, Danielle, and all the guidance, just letting go and trusting and working, one-on-one with you, working with like-minded individuals that are all in this scribe journey, whether it's painting or singing or, like you said, creating a meal or whatever. It's just trusting what is coming forth, what's coming from within, and listening to that inner dialogue, really paying attention, because your divine mission, it's a part of you. It's a part of, I feel like it's just a part of your DNA. It's part of these codes within your body that just need an avenue to be expressed. So this journey with this book started with fear, doubt, I mean, all those things. How could I be good enough to do this? To today, just thrilled and just beyond belief that this has really come to fruition. And I have to say that most of the polishing and thrill came from working with you and with the team at GracePoint. I mean, they really are brilliant. Their divine genius is really helping get this message out in a beautiful way. So thank you for that.
Mm. Yeah, well, and as your book is about radiance and grace, you just have so much radiance and grace. And I feel like your story is so inspirational. And I know, that those that are tuning in may be in that place of like, oh, I want to create something. I know that's the next step. And I just remember for you how, all the things that might be the, let's say, the negative self-talk or the messages that may be going through the head, like you said, like, who am I? Or I'm too busy, or I don't have the time. And I just remember while you were writing the book, I don't know, you had like guests for months at a time. You were remodeling your house. I mean, you had all the physical plane kind of reasons that people might use to not finish their book or not write their book. And yet you just soared through it. You just kept going with the grace and the radiance, and the body of work just really felt like it pulled you forward. So is there anything that you would share that might inspire somebody who's going like, oh my gosh, I've got kids, my husband, my this, my that, whatever. I can't do my book. I've got to put it off later because you just really kept going.
I did. And I just knew this message had to come out. It was bigger than just me, and just knew that Diamond Grace wanted her voice heard. And I decided to just put it on my calendar. This is an appointment for this day at this time to work on this project and to give it my all, and no going back. Once I committed, it wasn't going to be rewarded or relieved until it was all over. And I guess it's just beginning now that people are reading it. So, but that's a joy. So I'm grateful for all of you that helped me get this together.
Yeah. Okay. Well, as we're wrapping up here, I would really invite you to check out the Return to Radiance, the Restorative Superpowers of Diamond Grace. I love this book. I remember as we were working on the book, I did one of my hikes on the Camino and, my body was going, oh, my feet hurt, my hips hurt, whatever. Right. And I was just like, Diamond Grace, the restorative powers of Diamond Grace. And I kept calling in Diamond Grace and it really buoyed my system. So there's so much energy and tools. And it is a transmission that I do feel like can be accessed in 3 hours and can also be steeped into over years of time. So I love your book. I think it's amazing and really encourage those that are recognizing that you came to this temple meeting as an introduction and yet you're called to go a little bit deeper than from the courtyard into the heart and soul of this body of work. So as we're completing here, do you have any final words of inspiration? What would you leave us with, or Diamond Grace leave us with here?
It's our birthright to have a grace-filled life and to honor yourself in that regard and know that you are worthy. Everyone is worthy. And I just wish you a beautiful journey through the book if you choose to read it. If you are ever wanting to connect or have answer questions or answers, you can always connect with me. I'm at lightinfusions.com and we could work together if you feel like there's a bigger calling.
Thank you. So as we're completing here and we did open up temple space, I also want to kind of have the energy as well. Know that the energy will continue with you as you go forward into your day. You may feel an enhanced radiance and enhanced grace. And that just as you entered into this podcast with that intentionality, inviting all of us to radiate appreciation and love as we're now leaving this physical now moment of being together and going forth out into our days, and sending you, Terri and Diamond Grace, so much love and appreciation. And for those of you tuning in, and a big shout out to GracePoint Publishing as well. All right. Bye, everyone.
Thank you for coming along with us today on the GracePoint Publishing podcast. Join us next time as we introduce you to another one of our incredible authors. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to subscribe and rate us on your favorite podcasting platform. To find out more about our authors and to see how we can help you publish your book, head to GracePointPublishing.com. Keep writing, keep creating, your words matter.